In this video, we're going to look at how to change a number into scientific notation. So scientific notation is always written in this format. A times 10 to the b. So there's always a 10 in scientific notation. We always use powers of 10. Now the number that's represented by A can be 1 or greater, and it must be less than 10. So another way to say that is that it has to be a number greater than or equal to 1, and it has to be less than 10. So we'll see what that means in a second. And the exponent of b might be positive or it might be negative, and we'll see how to get each of those in a second. So let's look at this first example here. Convert 270 billion to scientific notation. So here's the steps you go through to convert a number to scientific notation. First, find where the decimal is currently right now. And this number doesn't have a decimal visible, so it's right there. It's at the end of the number. If a number doesn't have a visible decimal, then it's at the end. So now I need to determine where should the decimal go to make this number between 1 and 10. So if I put the decimal right here, between the 2 and the 7, that would make 2.7. That's 1 or greater, and it's less than 10, right? That number's between 1 and 10, and it is allowed to be 1. So I need to move the decimal from there to there. So I'm going to count how many spaces that was. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That was 11 spaces. So my answer in scientific notation is going to be 2.7 times 10 to the 11th power. And to check this, I could just grab a calculator and do 2.7 times 10 to the 11th. That number's probably too big for a calculator, so we'll just give it right back to you in scientific notation. But let's look at this. 10 to the 11th means that I'm going to multiply 10 times itself 11 times. So I'm going to have a 1 with 11 zeros on the end. And then, when I'm all done with that, I'd multiply it by 2.7, and that would give me this number from the start. So if you're moving the decimal to the left, you're making the number get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. It used to be 270 billion, and you moved it to 2.7. So since you made this number smaller, then this number needs to become bigger by a factor of 11, right? Since you changed the decimal 11 times and made this number smaller, you need to make the exponent larger. Let's do example 2. Convert 937 and 2/10 to scientific notation. Same process. The decimal's right there, and I need to put it to make this number between 1 and 10, so it needs to go right there. So I'm just going to move it 2 places. So my answer is 9.372 times 10 to the second. Notice I didn't cut off any of these digits. In question number 1, I cut off a lot of digits, right? I cut off all these zeros because they would all be zeros on the end of this decimal. And you don't have to write trailing zeros on a decimal. So you're allowed to cut off any zeros that are trailing at the end in your new number. This number didn't have any zeros, so I didn't cut anything from here, 9.372. Now let's look at question number 3. Right now the decimal is right there in 0.000043. And where could I put this decimal to make it between 1 and 10? Well, if I put it right here, it'd be 0.43. That's not between 1 and 10, right? That's less than 1, so I need to move it 1 more space. I need to put it right there. So how far does it move? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces. So this one's going to be 4.3 times 10. Now this one is going to be a -5. A negative exponent results in a very, very tiny number. So since this was 10 to the -5th, Our original number should be very tiny, and it is. That's a very small number. And another way to look at this, since I was moving the decimal this way, I was making this number greater in value. So I need to make my exponent lesser in value. Let's do one more example. Convert 0.000000001 to scientific notation. Well, my decimal's right there. Where could I put it? Only one spot I can put it. If I try to put it there, that'd be 0.1. That's not right. I have to put it right here. I have to put it right at the end, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It started right there, and I moved it there. I moved it 8 places. Fix all my ones so they look proper. So 1 times 10 to the negative 8. It moved 8 places, and it moved to the right, and the number got bigger, so the exponent needed to get smaller. So that's how you convert numbers into scientific notation.